To some, the glass is half empty. To others, the glass is half filled. To me, Glasgow COP26 Climate Summit still remains a case of unfulfilled achievements. There was a huge build-up. For months, there was this talk that this is going to be a historic summit and it's going to be a decisive event where we will collectively come together and we will decide on how to reduce global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade from the pre-industrial levels. But what have we done so far over the last few days? All about jingoism. No concrete, actionable points on the ground. Something what Queen of Britain, Elizabeth, also she spoke about. That in such kind of events, we see more about jingoism than real actions. So I'm not a skeptical person. There are some things which have come out, like trying to end deforestation by 2030. This is a very good step. There have been countries trying to commit on solar power, which is the best source of renewable power. I believe the future is about solar, green hydrogen, and adherence to climate finance, because the developed countries are not being honest when it comes to climate finance. Because in 2009, we had agreed that developed countries will be giving $100 billion grants to developing countries. What happened to that climate finance? In today's valuation, this becomes more than $1 trillion. And why? I hate to, first of all, I hate to do this demarcation between developed countries and developing countries, because now this is about saving the planet. But we cannot deny this, that this is the doing of the developed nations and their reckless, extravagant, energy intensive lifestyle. So from 1850 up until now, 60% of the emissions have come from the developed countries. So why cannot they take accountability? So this is why an average person is a little bit skeptical, because these targets that we keep talking about in terms of the bombastic rhetorics, like net zero, there is too much obsession about this carbon dioxide and net zero deadline. How do we judge different countries based on their adherence to the target? We don't have any mechanism other than rhetorics and jingoism, that a certain country has announced that they will be achieving net zero by 2040, 2050, 2060, 2070. No, let's not just talk about the end result. Let's focus on the process. And the process, which I'm saying, goes through these three routes as of now, at this stage, at this juncture where we are standing: solar power, plus green hydrogen, plus little bit of accountability, which I'm saying climate finance. Developed countries have to give $1 trillion grants to developing countries. Else do not make targets, because now you were not honest to your own target that you committed in 2009. In Paris in 2015 summit, we had agreed on so many lofty targets, but no country except India is on course to meet the target. So in this summit, India's Prime Minister has said that we are raising 450 gigawatt renewable target to 500 gigawatt renewable target, which is a welcome move. But again, this obsession about net zero, this is a very selective way, myopic way of looking at this issue of climate change. So what are the points that we should have been discussing, according to me? Because these summits are missing the crux of the issue. And today I am going to share the 3 points that I believe should have been discussed in summits like this, but we have let go of a very, very crucial opportunity. The first point, and a lot of people may not agree to this, but I believe this is a major factor. I'm not going into the wage versus non-wage debate, but can we discuss this upfront now, that 63% of greenhouse emissions can be mitigated if we just resort to a different dietary pattern? By just giving up our obsession for red meat, we are able to substantially cut down on greenhouse emissions. Will we ever debate on that? What better an opportunity than summits like these? Because what we are seeing is a pandemic. It's because of those kinds of foods. And the last pandemic, which was swine flu, also came because of such kind of dietary habits. So if we are going to continue this, we have to realize that 20,940 liters of water is being used to prepare 1 kilogram of meat. This is United Nations FAO's data. And out of 5 billion hectares of land, 68% we are using just for livestock. This is a very nasty way of existing in this world. How much millions and millions of square kilometers of land we are using just to maintain this livestock so that they can be fed to people. You can feed many people as a substitute to feeding 1% that meat, which is very delicious to some people. But it is also cancerous, because if you have seen the documentary on Netflix, The Game Changers, they have debunked every single myth. But I am not going into veg versus non-veg. It's impossible that overnight you will be giving up all the non-veg food and you will turn vegan. I'm not asking you to do that. Because when I do not smoke, I have no right to tell you that you should not smoke, because I don't know the thrill. There must be some thrill that you are taking the garbage, not garbage, for you it's the smoke. You are taking it and you are releasing it into air, so that people like us, helpless people like us who are not smoking, we have to be the passive smoker, and we are taking the worst air that you are releasing out. It's okay, it's your choice. What I'm trying to tell you is that you should be cutting down on these food habits and lifestyle habits. At least you can cut down, you can come down. If you are smoking 20 cigarettes, can you come down on 5 for a day? Can you skip a day without smoking? And can you make it one cigarette in 2 days, in 3 days, like that? Can you stretch a bit? Because every time you're doing it, you are saving the environment. You are directly contributing to saving the planet. Instead of big talks and jingoism like what we are seeing in climate summits like COP26, these are the topics we must be discussing on. Do we have the balls to ban smoking? No, we don't have. We don't have the guts to take any such stern actions. Nor am I asking people to take these steps, because this will be too harsh. If someone is addicted, taking something from them, snatching something from them is very cruel. So what I'm trying to tell is, at least we can come down and we can debate on it, because once I understand the science behind it, I know that every time I smoke 2 cigarettes, it's cutting down, it's taking away 10 minutes of my life. When I understand the science, I will try to live my life more judiciously. I will try to take every step with wisdom. So, which is why I'm saying this red meat industry has a big lobby, and they are going to churn orchestrated marketing campaigns after campaigns to justify why this red meat is safe. But the science says that it is not safe, and it's cancerous. It's not probably the best way to exist in this world, because we are consuming so much of water. 4 to 5 times of water we are using to produce 1 kg of meat. What are we waiting for? One day there will be no water left, and then we will be conducting summits for water conservation. We are waiting for that day when there will be no water, because water is going down the drain in processes like these, and we are not talking about these processes now. So which is why I'm saying I'm not saying you turn vegan overnight. You have it. If you are taking red meat 3 times a day, at least please come down to once a day, or try to stretch it to once in 4 days, once in 5 days. How does it sound? Does it make you feel better, or does it sound too boring, or does it sound too preachy? So these are the things that we must be talking and discussing about. What are the challenges? There is a challenge of addiction. Then there is a case of what happens when the entire world turns vegan. There are enough debates on both sides, but these debates can be given a proper channel on forums like these. So what I'm trying to say is it's about less and more. It's not about changing the planet and everyone's lifestyle overnight. I'm saying let's just try to think, can we move towards a better direction? Can we consume meat in the degree of their lesser complexity so that it integrates well to our digestive system? So what we are seeing right now in this globalized world is that one product which is suited to a cold country like New Zealand, it is being force fed into a hot country like any African country where there is no relevance. But still, because there's a globalization, because there's a market, so they are trying to tap the developing countries' market, and this is the end result. The end result is not good. What is the use of an electric dryer in a country like India? India has the observer status in IS International Solar Alliance, which was a welcome move in 2015. Today, more than 120 countries are member of ISA, the countries which fall under from Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. But what is the use of an electric dryer in India? Because in India, people have 300 days of sunlight out of 365 days. This product is suited for countries which do not receive sunlight. But because of globalization, because these companies think that we have a billion people market and we can tap this market. So this product is being force fed into the mouths of people who don't want to see the logic. They just flowing with the wave. And these marketing campaigns, they are released in such experiential way that they connect to the masses. Because the entire world knows that cold drinks is not good. It has HCFS, it makes you diabetic, but still the world consumes cold drinks. Why? Because they're not selling cold drinks, you know that? They are selling you happiness in the bottle. So this is why I'm saying today we have to address on issues like the rise of red meat and how nasty impact it is having on our environment. This issue must have been discussed in climate summits like this, but it is not being discussed because you know why? Because in the lunch sessions, when these dignitaries, these influential people, these big people, when they will come out to have food on the lunchtime, they will have these red meats served on their plate. So this is one point. Second point, solar. We all know that solar power is the future, and ISA, as I just said, it's a very good move. But there is a challenge in solar power. It's this. IREA is saying, International Renewable Energy Agency, they are saying that by 2050, when today's solar panels, their life cycle ends, we will be seeing 78 million tons of solar wastes, and we don't have any recycling mandates. Even in US, other than New York or Washington, there is no state where we have a clear recycling mandate, because companies come and install these solar panels at your rooftop, but they don't take away when it comes down to its life cycle ends, and it's just dumped. So there is no recycling mandate in any country. A few years back, 5-6 years back, I think in China there's a very big company, Jinko Solar Power Holdings. They were charged with dumping their solar wastes in water, and their shares crashed overnight. So because we don't have recycling mandates, and companies are trying to just do recklessly to damage the environment, because this process, this quartz, the mining extraction process, if we go into the metallurgical details, the very right at the very first step, when the silicon dioxide is quartz, this is extracted, and elemental silicon is converted into polysilicon, and we get trichlorosilane in the process. So they use hydrochloric acid, and this trichlorosilane reacts with hydrochloric acid to give silicon tetrachloride, which is harmful to the environment. And for every 1 ton of polysilicon that we are getting, it's releasing 3 to 4 tons of silicon tetrachloride, which is dangerous. If we dump it in water, it endangers the biodiversity. Animals were killed. This was exactly the case with Jinko Solar Power Holdings in 2011-12, when wild animals who came to water to drink water or water bodies, they died because they drank the same water where this company had dumped its solar wastes. What if they dump it in open ground? Well, because of hydrochloric acid, the texture of soil will become very, very harmful, and it will spoil that land. This is why today we have to discuss what IREA is warning, that 78 million tons of solar waste we are going to see by 2050, and after that, subsequently, we are going to see 6 million tons every year of solar waste, and we are not discussing on these things. Another point, we are taking pride in the fact that we are able to convert plastics into fuel today. But I am saying, when you are getting pyrolysis oil by converting plastics into fuel by installing big plants, do you really think plastics will go away? Because once you create a plant, there is an automatic demand for the raw materials. Do not forget this. So if you create a plant to convert plastics into pyrolysis oil, the fuels, there will always be the demand for plastics, because you have created a plant which requires its own raw materials, and you have your cost factor. So you will always be dependent on plastics. We will be never seeing plastic free world these days. These are the topics that we need to discuss on climate summits like this, but we are not discussing because these are very boring topics. So another interesting point is this, and it relates to our day-to-day life patterns, because if you can walk 2 kilometers, instead of walking 2 kilometers, we take a big car, which creates traffic problems and which also emits pollutions, emissions. And these bikes and these cars, this industry, this automotive industry, they are going, they're trying every tricks in the trade to somehow survive. I'm not saying these industry should go into loss, because they're already in the loss. And in lockdown, they have faced massive losses. What I'm trying to say is this. It's good that we are talking about electric vehicles, but even in electric vehicles, we are talking about ZEV, zero emission electric vehicles. Have we thought about the problem when these the batteries like the lithium batteries, when they will be reaching their the end of their life cycle by, say, in coming decades? Have you thought about the dumping of those batteries? No, because we don't know right now. We don't know at what scale this EV phenomena is going to peak. Maybe countries are only trying to set up R&D facilities in different parts of the world to study these things. But this decomposition and dumping of batteries in EVs and fuels, even if we are talking about hydrogen-powered EVs, still we have a challenge. We have a challenge, and these topics must be discussed and debated on forums like these. But what we are discussing in these forums, only net zero deadline, obsessions, shifting the blame on developing countries. No, you cannot do that. This is your making. This is largely your making. You cannot absolve yourself of the responsibility that you are the main culprit. Sorry to say this, but this, because of your extravagant lifestyle and reckless energy consumption, developed countries are today in a spot where they have to take this responsibility. You cannot shy away from taking $1 trillion grand climate finance responsibility. So we need to make several adjustments in our day-to-day life as well. And for that, at individual level, we are not in a position to create that big difference. Which is why at macro level, these players, these people who have gathered there with massive carbon footprints, these people should have been coming on some mandate, so that at macro level, we have some clear idea about the next 10 years, about the next 15 years. Hydrogen, green hydrogen is a good way to look up to the renewable future. For sure, this is going to be the future, because there are blue hydrogen, there are gray hydrogen, depending on the fossil sources. But green hydrogen has an advantage that when we, using electrolysis of water, when we split it, we do not get any CO2 emission. It's only water vapor that comes out. So this is an automatic zero emission process. Now, can we come together and talk about the electrolyzer costs? Because The biggest challenge in green hydrogen is the cost of hydrogen, which is somewhere around $4 to $7, and countries are trying to bring it somewhere around $2. But this dollar thing is just about the fluctuations in the market. I'm more concerned about the fact that why cannot countries, when we understand that this is our life savior for future, why cannot we come together and agree on a decision where the entire world benefits from green hydrogen? We can do that. So there are so many things that we should have been ideally discussing on in summits like this, but we have missed a great chance. Has nothing been done? No, I do not agree to. I do not buy the fact that this is completely this summit has gone west. No, there have been good discussions, good talks, and we cannot doubt the intentions of people who have gathered there. But as I'm saying, the glass is half filled. So the Glasgow COP26 Climate Summit is just halfway there.